Well, it is a bright and sunny morning as I head to work. The sun is just... I'll turn off the defroster. Probably can't hear me well because I put the defroster on in the morning. And it's a big, loud, noisy fan. So I'm sorry. Cooking my face as well, the heater. Feels good though. It's cold outside. It says it's 41 degrees. That's fine. It got really cold last night. Again, I ran both heaters at one at like half power or low power. It was so cold. Pointed one at the bedspread so it would keep me warm. It helped quite a bit. So I'm supposed to remind everybody, and I always forget, so I'll do it at the beginning of the video. I find these things incessant, but I guess they're necessary. So please remember to click the like, thumbs up button, like the video, and subscribe. And when you subscribe, click the alerts tab so that you know when I'm posting more things. They're important for the channel to get more views, and my goal is to be as helpful as possible and reach people who need the help. So having the exposure is good. I have no grand designs of being anyone important or exciting. I'm not. I'm just going to share and hope that somehow it's helpful. My focus is about suicide prevention in trans people. That is very, very close to my heart as I had to struggle myself. And the idea that nearly 50% of trans people attempt to commit suicide is very hard to understand. Except it's not hard to understand, really, because I've gotten to that point. There was a place in my life where I was so scared I went and sought a gender therapist, and thank goodness, just in time. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about what happens at work and professional careers and things. So this is something that holds so many people back. This is something that people commit suicide about. This is something that they really get upset, don't know what to do, and fear so greatly they can't go on. Well, in my professional career, and I've worked in Silicon Valley for 27 years, and mostly with engineers and designers, in retail settings and in industrial manufacturing settings. I go to their facilities and all that stuff. And in the last year or so, all my clientele, they realize, oh, okay, Jackie is it? Okay, fine. And I want to talk about how that works and what that looks like. You have this great fear, and I hid for quite some time. I'd gone full time and I was at work, and I was very, very scared of old clientele coming and having to explain and worrying that they would take their business elsewhere and that it would affect my job and all of those things. Thankfully, nothing like that has happened. And I can share some of my experience to maybe dispel some of that fear and anxiety that others might have if that's something you struggle with. I remember one of the first occasions was very surprising. A customer I had not seen in probably 6 or 7 years from a tech company or a medical company maybe came in looking for the old boy, and wanted to have some special fabrication, something custom made, some machining done. And was really intent on finding that person again because that person did a really fine job, wanted to, basically repeat the order, but, with some changes. And I assured him, I absolutely can take care of this for you. You won't find him around here these days. And so after convincing him, he did explain things to me and go over the details and whatnot. But he had absolutely no idea, which I thought was confusing. I thought, oh my gosh, there's got to be no way he doesn't know. But he didn't. He had no clue. And I thought, oh, wow. I misread the idea that everyone's going to know. Now I have to decide exactly how I'm explaining things, if I explain them at all. And I don't certainly want to be dishonest in any fashion whatsoever, so if the topic comes up, I have to broach it. However, if I put a bunch of mistruths in front of that and then have to broach it, then I basically lied to my customer and now have to backtrack everything and explain why I lied. Well, I don't want to lie at all for any reason. I have this policy of honesty at all cost, even if it's, hurtful or damaging. I just can't stand any more secrets. Although I'm not going to go and broadcast everything, to every single person I meet. I just want to be myself and be accepted for the person I am. And it worked out fairly well, and nothing had to be broached. And we simply worked on the job, and other than referring to myself as that old boy, once was it. And I was a lot less anxious after that. So it was okay. Then I had some other customers and delivery people and some of the sales people for the material supplies and things of that nature. And, they didn't know what to think about it at first. One person wanted to talk about being rather religious, and I said, well, I'm Christian as well. And I do now go to a different church for my own reasons. And they're perfectly accepting, and most of them are. So we talked about our faith a little bit, and we seemed to be very well aligned, and he left feeling fine. I've not had any trouble since. The receptionist at that company knows, and the salesperson. I still receive regular jobs from them, and I still buy material, and everything seems just fine. Same with another supplier, several customers. One customer now, we actually get along much better. We like to talk, and so after, whatever the business portion of things are, we often talk far longer than we should and need to get back to work, but it's nice to be able to just converse with somebody. And coming out to coworkers was very scary, but everyone was accepting, and things actually were easier. I mean, they were nicer to me for some reason. I thought, well, hey, I'll take whatever I can get. So that was nice. The coworker that was the oldest, very pleasant person, but very set in his ways. He's in his late 60s, and you wouldn't know that. I mean, he looks like he's barely, in his 50s. He's real spry and smart, and extremely diligent. His work ethic's amazing. Makes everyone look bad. I often feel like I need to apologize for not working hard enough because, he's constantly, on the ball and needs what he needs, and if I'm not supplying, I have to step it up. But there was a time when he was a little less accepting in the beginning and kind of explained it's really hard about pronouns, it's really hard about your name, and at some point down the road he'll work on it or something. And I thought, well, that's fine, and I didn't really expect anything. And not that long ago, he came to me and mentioned, I came in to ask you something, and you were sitting at your cubicle talking on the phone, and I realized, oh my gosh, this isn't a guy. This isn't a guy at all. This isn't a dude. And for some reason, my mind just took this shift, and I'm having super difficulty just thinking of you as the person I remember. And I hope you realized I used your name. I called you Jackie, and I totally heard that, and it was very nice. But I didn't want to call attention to it or anything. And he was like, well, you could say, hey, thanks, or whatever. I'm extremely thankful. Thank you. It's very nice to have you use proper pronouns and my name, and have come so far and be so accepting. You're like one of those people in my corner that defends me often. And when people are in the shop, you've always been very protective and used proper pronouns and things, and took care of that, whether you knew you were doing it or not. And I'm extremely grateful because it makes my work environment better. And honestly, I think our relationship at work has improved in that fashion. He thinks I'm an annoyance at times, but he really is right, because I am an annoyance at times. Public nuisance, or maybe just a nuisance to him, as he might put it. But he's one of the most accepting people, and I think one of the reasons is he's exposed to me on such a constant basis because we work together so much that his perception was just altered, and he just couldn't quite relate to his memories of who I was, and now I've become like these two separate people. Kudos to him for, pushing through. And I realized one of the things that might be vital for my family and my friends is just exposure, and the fact that I'm isolated and ostracized is extremely bad because the exposure is gone, out of sight, out of mind, say whatever, and there's no, repercussions because there's no one there to dispute anything. But in time, I'm assuming at some point they'll allow the exposure and things will be better. But at work, I have to say all of my anxieties and my worries were misfounded. We often worry about the worst case scenario when we don't know what's going to happen, no matter what that might be. It's always the worst case scenario. We just gravitate towards that every single time. And I think that we should stop doing that. Having a little faith that things are going to work out has really changed my life. Even when things go really wrong and I don't know what to do about them and I see no possible solution, it doesn't do you any good to worry. So I've just started having faith that things will somehow work out. I'll be as diligent as possible. I will do the things I think that are right and work towards the best outcome that I can. And honestly, that positive energy draws in a positive result. And I was so struggling with something yesterday, and then immediately something fixed it. And I thought, oh my gosh, what was I worried for? And this was a big thing. This was no little thing. This was a very large thing that I had no idea how I was going to remedy. And I didn't have to because it fixed itself within hours of me sitting back down at my cubicle. And in a very unforeseen way. And I thought, my goodness, why was I worried? I should have been just having the faith, So having a little faith that things are going to work out, honestly, may sound ridiculous, but it's been working so well for me for so long. Even my friends notice. My bestie is like, I can't believe the things that go wrong for you and then immediately go right, We were trying to move my things into the loft and I had no way to get them there. And I had it one day to move everything out of the apartment. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it'll all work out. And she's like, well, shouldn't we put a bunch of stuff in your car and start driving? And I'm like, no, it's going to work out. Well, we're going to tackle it in the morning. It's too late. We're not going to get this done with one car trip or two car trips. It's not going to happen. We're going to wear ourselves out and completely just frazzle ourselves. So you go home, I'm going to go get a good night's rest, and we'll tackle it tomorrow. I got up. I asked someone I knew for some advice, and this person said, I know this person you can call. They have a moving truck and a couple guys, but they're often busy. So I called, and the person says, oh, well, yeah, no, I'm available, and that timing works fine, and it's this much money, and 2 guys in a truck and all that. And I thought, okay, fine. So I went home, and they showed up, and they loaded things into the moving van, and my friend showed up, and we went, and they took everything and put it up in the apartment or the loft. And then I paid them exactly the amount of money I had from selling a mobility scooter. And we were done. It was like 2 o'clock. And so I was amazed. I thought, oh my gosh, this is all done and I don't have to worry about it. And my friend was just blown away. She's like, well, let's go to lunch, So we went off to a Mexican restaurant down the street and had lunch, said goodbye, and she went home. And she ended up texting me later saying, I can't believe that just works out. It's crazy how things just work out around you. Like, no matter how bad things go and how desperate things look, for whatever reason, they just turn out. And I said, I know. And I'm just going to keep having faith that they will. So anyway, that was kind of a tangent from where I was talking about work. So I'm just hoping you understand that things that work for me have gone very well, and that my worst case scenarios never materialized. I just don't know what I was so worried about. And now I approach it from, I just introduced whoever it is to Jackie, and wherever it goes, it goes. If they want to know, I tell them. If they don't, we don't talk about it, and they only know Jackie. But I don't feel I'm being dishonest in any fashion. I'm just being me. So it works out. So if you're super scared about your work environment, I think you can probably rest a little at ease. I know there are plenty of circumstances for people where it goes awry, but if you're kind and pleasant, you be yourself, you don't expect anything or demand anything, eventually people will come around. And if you do a good job and you're diligent, those are the things that employers want. So focus on that. Be the person who has value. Do what you need to do to be a valuable player. Hopefully that somehow helps dispel some anxiety if you're having some. And again, remember to like the video. Remember to subscribe and click the alert. I don't want to keep talking about it because I find it incessant. Just know that I care. And if you're having really difficult feelings and all of this is so overwhelming, you need to talk with somebody somewhere. Remember that on transgenderpulse.com there are reference pages for gender therapists and suicide hotlines if you're really struggling. And that I care, and that I'm going to share everything I can think of with you to help you understand that these things are not mountains you cannot traverse. More of them are speed bumps that we simply need to take slowly and realize, oh, that was just a speed bump, so maybe the next one will only be a speed bump as well. And we can take our high-level magnification goggles off and start seeing the world for what it really is, and allowing ourselves to have a little faith that just things will work out eventually if we just allow ourselves to be flexible and have a positive mental outlook. So take care of yourself. I'm off to work, going to spend time with my biggest defender in the shipping department, so I'm sure he'll be pleased as punch to see me getting things done today, although I do have to leave early today to go to group. So I'm going to get everything I can done and be as efficient as possible and surprise him with lots of stuff and make him happy so when I leave early to go to group, he's not upset with me. So take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully Friday comes soon and your weekdays are done and you can enjoy the weekend. Take care. I'll see you later. Bye.